On the 23rd of June 2016, the United Kingdom officially announced its plans to withdraw from the European Union. But before we explain what is currently going on, it's better to start from the beginning. The 23rd of January 2013 was the date when the concept of Brexit was first acknowledged. Although the name Brexit was not yet given, the debates surrounding EU membership were very much in existence. David Cameron, who was the Prime Minister at that time, stated that if his party won the 2015 general election, then he would campaign with all his heart and soul in order to ensure that the United Kingdom's position to remain in the European Union would be secured. The reason why Cameron became such a strong advocate for the Remain campaign was because of the fact that he faced issues with maintaining authority within his own party, and on top of this, he needed a way to stand out from the swiftly rising UKIP, whom were led by Nigel Farage and whom were highly supportive towards the Leave campaign. This caused Cameron to continue supporting the Remain campaign up until the point whereby the turnout of the 2016 EU referendum proved to be humiliating. This was due to 52% of the public voting to leave and 48% voting to remain. This was what caused him to resign on the 13th of July 2016.
I'm very proud and very honoured to have been Prime Minister of this country for 6 years. I believe we've made great steps, with more people in work than ever before in our history, with reforms to welfare and education, increasing people's life chances, building a bigger and stronger society, keeping our promises to the poorest people in the world, and enabling those who love each other to get married whatever their sexuality. But above all, restoring Britain's economic strength.
Fast forward a short period of time and then we end up with Theresa May, who kickstarts a new role through the promise that Britain will leave the single market and customs union in order to ensure a strong and stable United Kingdom.
We believe in a union not just between the nations of the United Kingdom, but between all of our citizens, every one of us, whoever we are and wherever we're from.
Regretfully for Theresa May, her plans and proposals were defeated several times during her role as Prime Minister. One of her foremost defeats was on the 15th of January 2019. On this date, the House of Commons decided to take a vote on May's Brexit deal, which ended up being rejected by 230 votes. The votes themselves stated 202 in favour and 432 opposed. The defeat therefore became the largest majority vote against the United Kingdom government in history. During that same period of time, Theresa May's issues then get worsened due to the actions of Jeremy Corbyn. Corbyn, who is the leader of the opposition known as the Labour Party, decides to immediately call for a motion of no confidence after May's failure in January, with the hopes of removing May and her government from power. Fortunately for Theresa May, she was able to maintain her position because the motion was defeated by 325 votes against 306, giving her a majority of 19. However, on the 14th of February 2019, May faced another defeat yet again. This time, the House of Commons voted against her motion to endorse the government's Brexit negotiating strategy. The votes were 303 to 258, giving the opposition a majority of 45. And again, almost 1 month later on the 12th of March 2019, May faced her third and most devastating defeat, which could be thought of as a killing blow. This was because May was defeated by 149 votes regarding her new motion to put forward her latest deal. The votes themselves were 242 in favour and 391 opposed. This gave the impression that May was headed towards a downward spiral. Consequently, on the 27th of March 2019, May revealed that she would no longer lead the UK in the next stage of Brexit negotiations, and this marked the beginning of her resignation. By the 24th of May, she announced that she would officially step down as Prime Minister in order for someone else to take on the role and lead the negotiations. And so she concluded in a statement that she would officially step down as Prime Minister on the 7th of June. But despite this, she did serve up until the 24th of July, whereby Boris Johnson, her successor, took over.
But it is now clear to me that it is in the best interests of the country for a new Prime Minister to lead that effort. So I am today announcing that I will resign as leader of the Conservative and Unionist Party on Friday the 7th of June, so that a successor can be chosen. I've agreed with the party chairman and with the chairman of the 1922 committee that the process for electing a new leader should begin in the following week.
This now leads us to Boris Johnson and our current affairs. Before taking on the role of Prime Minister, Boris competed against 9 other Conservative MPs. These other MPs were Michael Gove, Matt Hancock, Mark Harper, Jeremy Hunt, Sajid Javid, Andrea Leadsom, Esther McVeigh, Dominic Raab and Rory Stewart. The final 2 candidates ended up being Boris Johnson, of course, but also Secretary of State Jeremy Hunt. Boris was then elected as leader with 92,153 votes against Jeremy Hunt, who had 46,656, giving Boris 66.4% of the votes. Since his victory on the 23rd of July, Boris had promised several reforms to the Brexit deal in order to renegotiate a better strategy. The deal itself is still for the most part the one created by Theresa May. It does still incorporate aspects such as the UK paying the £33 billion divorce bill and the UK accepting to abide by the EU rules up until the end of 2020. And this is the reason why this new arrangement by Prime Minister Johnson is still preferred by many members of the EU, because it still manages to retain some of the key and most essential benefits for the EU itself.
Our intention is to work towards ratification. We support the deal, and this was a clear decision on 27 member states. And we are prepared for this ratification, logistically, politically, technically.
But the deal itself does also have a number of significant differences. The most notable difference is regarding the Irish backstop. Originally, it was known as the Northern Ireland Protocol and was its own standalone treaty. But the May government wanted to implement a backstop in order to create a clear border between the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland alongside the Brexit withdrawal agreements. However, the backstop was never ratified and ended up being in the hands of Boris Johnson. Boris has since tried to switch up the terms of the agreement by adding changes such as allowing Northern Ireland to vote in the Stormont Assembly to back or remove the arrangements every 4 years. This is why the DUP are not a huge fan of Prime Minister Johnson's New Deal, since it prevents them from being able to veto the process, as they believe this creates an unfair customs divide between Northern Ireland and the UK. As well as this, the new agreement is supposed to allow for the UK to begin its free trade deals with other countries around the globe once the withdrawal agreement has been passed. More specifically, the MPs have passed the Letwin Amendment through 332 votes in favour and 306 opposed. This amendment prevents the deal from being approved up until the withdrawal bill has officially been passed. Alongside this is also the Benn Act, which forces Johnson's government to act towards stopping a no-deal scenario. In spite of all this, the main question still remains: can Boris Johnson successfully get Brexit done by the 31st of October?